All right. So obviously a bunch of this is going to be edited. So I should have thought of this beforehand. So the introduction, we have our music segue, and then it's, boy, now I'm going blank. All right, here we go. Ready? So Max, when you see this, just edit this part out.
This doesn't count. This is our mulligan.
That's it.
So am I better with lights or without lights? Since we're cutting that.
Turn them back off.
Tamara, that's definitely a Tamara question.
What?
Am I better with lights on or lights off?
Turn them
What
off.
does it look like with lights off?
Hang on. I don't know how to work these, sorry.
Light on. If you just turned it off, put the light back on.
Okay.
It just fills any shadows because you have tungsten light happening, so that's above the head.
Well, I can't tell because I can't see well enough to be able to tell. It's kind of scary. Like, unless my glasses are on. Okay, there you go. Awesome. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we'll edit all that out. All right, are we ready?
Ready.
Okay, sweet. And here we are. Thanks, Tamara, for joining us. And as we heard your bio and some of your accomplishments, I'm super, super curious. What was it like coming out of the military and then contemplating and then actually starting your own business?
So that's a great question. I joined the military at 17. I am a military brat, so it's all I knew. So when I left, it was very much a culture shock for me. I'm used to very orderly, strict behavior out of folks that I work with on a daily basis. So when you transition to civilian world, it's not as structured, or I mean, it has structure, but it's not as one movement, if you will. And that was really hard for me. I went from having adult conversations every single day and going nonstop to staying home. And although I love being a mom, I'm such a creative and fast moving person that I needed that challenge. Essentially, not that my daughter's not a challenge, trust me, she's a handful, but it's more along the lines of an adult challenge as far as opportunity and career growth goes. So when we moved to Naples, I really couldn't see myself working somewhere where that I wasn't going to enjoy, because I was so used to loving work every single day. And I know that sounds odd being from the military, but the people are incredible. And so I wasn't quite sure I would find that environment. And rather than feel a little discouraged, I just chose to start my own company. And I went way back in my youth and brought out my artistic side, and I picked up a camera and I decided that this was what I wanted to do. And I taught myself everything I needed to know for photography and started my photography company in 2013.
I love that. That's so cool.
So it wasn't a passion prior to
No.
being discharged?
No, absolutely not. I was medically retired in 2011, and I hadn't picked up a paintbrush or done any type of artistry since my senior year in high school. And even then it was starting to fade a little bit because I was a sports player. I always played sports that monopolized my time. But when I got out, I actually told my husband, let's stop by Michael's. I'd like to grab some pastels. I love working with pastels. And I drew one of his family friends, their Rottweiler, and it was a picture, like it looked like a picture of the dog. And so my husband didn't even know I was artistic until well, 7-8 years into our relationship. So bringing that to photography, I don't feel like a traditional photographer. I feel, and this sounds so cliche, so whoever rolls their eyes, I totally get it. It feels different for me because I like creating from what I see. And what you see through a lens may be a beautiful photo, but I'm seeing a whole movie. I'm seeing an emotion, and thought-provoking work. And so I brought that different kind of take, and there are so many talented, amazing photographers here in Southwest Florida, and we all shine our own way. But for me, I wanted to push the envelope just a little bit and get a little edgy with it. So I just kept getting to create.
Yeah, you're so good at that. That's what drew me to your work, is you can see the passion through photographs. I mean, they come to life when you look at them, and I was drawn to every time I saw something that you put up on, on the internet. I was blown away, and I'm like, all right, I need to like do this for my team and have you as our photographer. And you're just so talented. I love the artistic side of what you do with your business. It's amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay,
And you're fun to work with. Yeah.
I want to prompt a little bit of a discussion between the two of you then, because knowing Jess as well as I do, she also enjoys being organized, like how you're describing where you're coming from as a military career. That's pretty regimented. And now going into the creative side, you both have to really envision an end goal or an end product, whether it's styling or artistic, whatever the case may be. What would you say to those that have that inside of them and don't necessarily know how to get that out? Because you both have successfully done it.
I think, and what I tell a lot of these younger people that I like to work with, if you are not automatically just shock and awe or in love, obsessed irrevocably with what you're doing, then switch. In order to really create and create it authentically and at the level that Jess and I and other brilliant artists do, you have to be in love with it. So sit and think about what makes you smile. What, when you listen to music, do you see colors? Do you get goosebumps? Do you find yourself swaying with it? It's an infatuation. Some people find it in reading. Some people find it in poetry. Artists can get inspired anywhere. My daughter hates riding with me in the car because we'll be driving and I'll see just a tree. And I'm like, that's beautiful. We should do a photo shoot. Like I can see women here and let's do a mad tea party. I mean, it's just, if your brain can't stop with what you're doing and all you find is a different avenue of creativity with it, that's your spark. That's where you go. If you just absolutely can't stop thinking about it, or you get excited talking about it, that's your spark.
Yeah, I agree. I feel so lucky to have found it at such a young age. And I still find that passion after over 30 years of doing it. I still have that enthusiasm, the excitement, and definitely I saw you plant a seed for Chloe. So Chloe's our 9-year-old, and she was on set for one of the photo shoots. And when you let her, so many photographers will first of all say, no, like you can't have like you can't take pictures while I'm taking pictures. And here she's shooting away, and you encouraged her to do it, and she's still talking about it. And you said, oh, maybe someday I'll take her for a shoot. And like planting that seed at a young age in children is so nice, because then they can kind of see if that's where they connect. And if that is where they connect, they're getting to do it at such a young age. So that was, I was so excited. I've done that for so many kids over the years with hair in the beauty industry. And to have you do it with Chloe just like touched my heart. It was really beautiful. Yeah.
Well, she's very special. And there's something about a child creating something of their own and being so proud of it. I mean, they did over at the Naples Botanical Garden, they had a program where they had special needs children take cameras and photograph the park the way they saw it. And they were some of the most beautiful photos, because there's no veil of what needs to be perfect. You don't know composition yet. You're just looking at it. And letting others see what you see. And I mean, some of the angles she captured from you, I was like, wow, I want that, you know. It's just
Yeah.
having that creative mind and letting them and go with it and nourishing it is one of my favorite things about being a creator, is inspiring people. That's so much fun. And again, I know that sounds cliche, but it really is delightful to spark an interest in somebody.
Well, I think that's why so many people enjoy working with you, because it's contagious. Your excitement over it and your enthusiasm it's so fun. It's just the best word I can think of for it is contagious. You want to be involved in that excitement, and that's so cool that you can create that. And I love it when I can create it in my business too. It's cool.
You created it so much, she kept the camera going for the entire car ride home too. We got pictures of people in other cars. So
She did. And
She
Mr.
enjoyed
Jim,
it.
poor Mr. Jim.
he's got a
Yeah.
lot of pictures. I don't know how many we've got, but there
There are hundreds.
are hundreds. Yeah, she just click, 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 click. It was pretty
Yeah.
fun to watch her for sure.
She has a great eye.
So if we can take a step back for just a minute. I'm curious, Tamara, how at 17 you made your decision to go into the military, and why pick Air Force?
So my mother is a retired command sergeant major. My brother is in the Army, or was, my father. So military family. But I've been around it my whole life. But funny enough, I actually swore I wasn't going to do it. I wanted to be different. I was just going to go to college. There was nothing wrong with it. I just had been around it so long. I wanted something different.
Mhm.
And then 9/11 happened my senior year. And it was what I could do, because when you watch something like this happen, and your brother was one of the first to go, you know, you just, how do I help? What do I do? I know this environment. Let me go serve my country. So I graduated in May and I was in boot camp in June.
So that was a no-brainer for you.
No, it really wasn't. It was just, you know, I don't want to, because I don't want to say what other people should do. It just felt like what I should do and could do. So
Mhm.
What was it like? Because you said you're familiar with it, and so your brother got deployed, I'm assuming,
Mhm.
over to Iraq pretty quickly.
Mhm.
What was that like?
So because I grew up around it, my mother actually wanted me to understand what all of it meant. And I remember when we were stationed in Hawaii, Desert Storm, Desert Shield kicked off, and she was the chief over a squadron, and her troops were deploying, and she had to go see them off. And I was maybe 7 at the time. And she took me and she said, I want you to see this. You need to see this. You need to see what this really is. Because I didn't understand, you know, when she would deploy for months at a time, I was just, you know, okay, well, I just thought it was normal that she was just going somewhere for work, but I didn't understand what was happening and what she was part of. And so she let me see it.
Mhm.
And that stuck with me. So when my brother left, it was more of a nod. It wasn't scary for me. I mean, I guess it's not that you're numb to it. You accept that this is what needs to be done, or this is, you know, he's going to fight for his country, and seeing that and seeing the families and the children, all of the families say goodbye when you're that young, it moves something in you completely different. So it's matter of fact instead of emotional.
That's, yeah, I'm not from a military family per se. So I don't have any real basis to comprehend what that's like, for sure.
Yeah,
So
I mean, and then when I joined the military and then shock and awe kicked off, we declared war with Iraq. You know, I saw it. It was really weird to see it all over again. I was watching the A-10 pilots hug and kiss their children goodbye, right? And you know, you kind of do a whole, well, I'm on the other side of it this time, and it's, you know, it is moving and it's touching, but the feeling of pride you have for these people and to be part of that is just, you can't describe it.
of all the things that you did while you were active duty, what are one of the top 3 just one of them, that you'd say you, as you became habit in service, were you able to bring over into business?
Oh my, top.
Not your just top
Multitasking.
three.
I would say
Something.
multitasking.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, share.
being able
What does
to
that mean for you?
So I, when I was in the military, my final positions were, I was a senior security manager over 500 plus people, personal reliability manager for 500 plus people, and I controlled entry and exit into secure briefings. So that, and I was a senior controller for CSC, which is where you control all of the planes that move. If there's a generation happening, you're the big voice in the sky. So, and it's fast. When you have real world incidents happening, you have to be able to move very quick and speak to 10 different people, and communicate your thought very fast, and be articulate about it. You're speaking to 4-star generals. You're speaking to people from Russia that are coming to, look at your weapon storage area to make sure it's in compliance. So being able to articulate things quickly, proficiently, to multiple people is probably one of the best things that I've been able to do, because as Jess will know, when you're working with people and you have teams, being efficient and being fast, but thorough is really, really key to having a successful company. And then the other thing I would say is keeping everything organized and tight together. I like knowing where things are, how they are. Any moving part within my companies, I know where it's at all times. And that's just the control side of me. And, having to know where every person was, what their medical conditions were for my squadron, if their security clearance was getting ready to burst, bust. Having to know all of that and compartmentalize it has been really effective for my companies.
I think the first time I saw that I was on a shoot with you, I think was like down in Naples. And I was a little scared of you. I was like, oh, like she means business. It's like boom, 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 boom. There's like no chitty chat. And so getting to know you over the years, it's been really cool to recognize that is your skill set, being so organized and so focused. And that's why your shoots and your direction and your vision just goes so smoothly, and you come out with such beautiful pieces at the end, whether it's the magazine, whether it's a photo shoot that you're doing, or whatever I've seen that you have done is just, it's pretty incredible. And for everybody, any stylist that I've ever sent to do a shoot with you, I'm like, now don't ask her any questions. Just, this is what you're going to do. And this is what she's awesome. She's really sweet, but try not to interrupt her or let her keep her focus, because she's not like so, and I don't know how that comes off on your end, but all the girls love working with you. But I do give it, like, tell them, don't get in her head. She's got like a plan and she's going to stick to it. You're just there to do hair and makeup. So
No, all of your girls that I have worked with are absolutely sensational. One of my favorite photos I've done in my career is actually Lynn's hair.
Yeah,
the way it was
that was
fanned
so
out. I love that
cool.
photo.
I love that photo too. I'm definitely going to get that blown up for her and surprise her for something someday, for whatever. I'm doing that. I love it.
Yeah, that's great.
So what is your current path in business? What are you like focused on the most right now?
So right now I have my photography company, and then I co-own a magazine with my fabulous business partner, Libby Romano. And then I just started a modeling agency, and all three actually work pretty well together because I supply the models, I train models, I can do the photography, and then we have this magazine over here where we can get the girls published and, provide them experience to build their portfolios. So I would say my focus right now is I'm trying to build the next generation of artists and models Because, you know, right now the world's a little topsy-turvy, so people are a little more sensitive and, you know, hesitant to pursue their dreams because they don't want to be judged, or they, you know, have poor self esteem. So being able to reinforce that in 3 different businesses and, you know, enroll new men and women in having pride in themselves and what they want to do is kind of where all of these 3 companies are going. They just
Yeah.
separate entities, I guess.
Yeah, that's super sexy. I love it. You want
Okay.
Al as your next, your male model?
Do what?
You want Al as one of your male models?
Oh, I could totally have Al as one of my male models. That's salt and pepper hair now. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So here's a question. Do you feel very happy with what you're doing? And is there anything that you would change, that you would want to change?
No, I feel very happy with what I'm doing. I do wish there were more of me. I'm tired, but no, I honestly wouldn't change anything, not because it's perfect, but because little things that happen along the way, I learned from it, or, you know, it's a really neat development. So I'm a big believer in everything happens for a reason. You know,
Yeah.
if things are moving fluidly and you're getting through it pretty well, then this is where you're supposed to be. So yeah, I'm proud
That's
of it.
awesome.
Mhm.
One of the questions that I have that always comes to my mind, and people ask me, and sometimes I get a little stumped by it, because sometimes there are so many things, but what are some of the mistakes that you wished you could have avoided along the way?
Oh, to not be as trusting as I was.
Oh, wait, stop
150%.
on that one. Yeah, don't go to another one. What does that mean?
So when you do work for someone and they say they're going to put your name on it, or, you know, give you your credit, or I doing business with people and they go back on their word, that
Mhm.
happens a lot. And so now anything I do, it's in writing. So that is, I really wish I hadn't have been so naive. And I
It's
mean,
trusting, you're right. Yeah.
you know, it really is. And I guess the other thing, I wish I would have been more level-headed when I first started, meaning I wish that when I saw people recreating what I was doing, I didn't get offended. I felt complimented by it. But I was young, 20s, so, you know, I was still trying to compete, I guess, from like the military. You're always competing to get to the next rank. You're always competing, you know, to get the recognition for doing well on a score. And so I didn't really stop and appreciate that someone was moved by my work. When I first started, I was just like, well, that's not original. You can't do that. But honestly, what's original nowadays? You know, everybody just puts their own twist on it. So I guess that's probably my biggest one, besides trust. And I do trust people. I just make sure that if it's business, you know, a business transaction, it's in writing.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
is there, without naming names and any of that kind of stuff and divulging anything, is there one incident in the trusting environment when you that comes to mind that was really like, oh, this was the one, this is the straw that broke the camel's back. Now I'm doing it different.
Um, mm, it was just little things. It wasn't really something massive that happened. I don't think people are that bold. Um, I mean, I guess they are, but it was more, I saw it becoming a habit with people that I was working with, you know, once bitten, twice shy, if you will. Um, I guess there was one, I had designed, directed an entire shoot, and I was not mentioned anywhere. And and I realize that sounds very whiny, but it was a very big production that did very well in different places. And I was a little heartbroken over it,
Mhm.
but, you know, I also didn't ask for credit. So it was one of those, I assumed, I trusted that it would be done. And so I feel like maybe more than the actual incident, it was just, how could I be that naive or, not to put myself, in a position of success for that. So I don't really think it's one massive thing that happened. It's just, a habit that I started seeing with people. If you don't ask, or if you assume, you're going to get burned by that. So I guess, yeah, to answer your question.
So
And paying attention to those red flags sometimes, right? Like the older I get, the better I am at seeing them. Like, oh no, wait a minute, that's one of
And,
those.
trusting your intuition, trusting your gut. I mean, you better than anybody else. And if you start getting uneasy about something, then perhaps you should look a little bit more into it. And I've done that too. So, and that's been a lifesaver.
It has, yeah.
I'm really curious when you talk about making assumptions, because I think we all do that, particularly when we're first starting out. I don't know that it matters whether you're 17, 20, or 50 and you're just starting out. That's a really interesting perspective that you have on that. So what would you tell people about making assumptions, whether it's in the modeling agency, photography, or heck, payroll? What would you coach somebody at this point in your experiences surrounding how those mistakes that you made?
I would tell them, ask questions, and then ask more questions. If you have any type of doubts that this may or may not happen, ask the question and get it clarified for you. So with my modeling agency, perfect example of assuming is one of the first sentences out of every email I get. I'm not tall enough to be a model, so I don't think I have a shot. I just want you to tell me. You're assuming there's no place for you because of what the standard has been over here. Instead of realizing there's beauty modeling, there's hand modeling, there's a whole array, but you've been told that this is the one standard. Or, like with me, with my work, well, I'm going to assume that you're going to pay me, but I didn't know the photographer before me did it pro bono. So now you're going to assume that I'm going to do this pro bono as well. Ask the question. It's so simple, but there's really, and this again goes with me being in control of things. I don't like surprises. I don't like being, not informed about a situation. So the more answers that I have in writing, then the more I can, it's even referencing my own notes, am I assuming that, they're going to organize this shoot, or did I tell them I was going to do that? It's just a checks and balance thing for me. I don't like leaving things to chance anymore. And it's not that I was done so poorly. It's just, you all will know this, being co-owners of being owners of different businesses, you have zero time to go back and look and, renegotiate a whole situation. It's just boom, 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 boom. You want things done quickly.
So how would you coach somebody that doesn't know what they don't know yet in avoiding, I know, so you're saying ask questions, so if I'm just starting out and I don't know, and heck, because I haven't had the experience of being shafted, screwed over, let down, disappointed, how would you, so a brand new photographer or a brand new model, how would you coach him on that? Would you encourage him to go read and research, or go get some mentors so they can learn?
Oh, absolutely. They can, that's part of asking the questions, networking and getting with these mentors, reading all this information. So you do have wisdom to ask different questions. Never. And this takes somebody's advice at face value. I realize that's kind of contradictory here, but no one is going to know more than you do when you do your own homework, when you do your own research, and you can kind of compare what one person's saying to what you're reading. And then most of the time there's somewhere in the middle where you walk. But yeah, mentorship is very, very important. I mentor a lot of people. And one of my mentor, actually, her name's Melissa Phillips. she's a brilliant, extraordinary woman. She was my mentor. And when I didn't know anything about anything in Naples and I was just starting out, she always told me, she would never say, you need to do this. She would say, you know, why don't you look into this? Why don't you read a little bit more over here? She would never tell me what to do. She let me discover it my own way, but kind of gave me a little bit of guidance on where to look. But she let me make my own ideas and conclusions about things. She never once told me I have to do this to succeed. She said, well, why don't you try this? Or why don't you try this? And that's what I do with a lot of people I mentor. It's, well, what if you looked at it this way? Or what if you tried it like this? Or what if you read about this? So now you're going to know different ways in composition. It's never, you never want to tell people directly what to do, because that, again, you're going to assume they're going to take what you're saying and use it in the way you meant it, instead of running off and doing something completely different. And then they blame you. So I think it's really neat when people can learn on their own and read information and literature about what they want to do. But asking questions is so massive, to me anyway.
Mhm. That's really great advice. I mean, I mentor a lot of people, and sometimes it is easy to say, you should do this or you should do this. So yeah, that's great advice for someone who is mentoring or being, you know, either way. So that's great.
Yeah, she would just, I mean, Melissa, honestly, she taught me about business here and how to have conversations, you know, going from a military kind of tone to not military. You know, people might take something I say as too direct. So she taught me how to massage that down by, you know, observing different people and how they speak at engagements. You know, she would never tell me, well, you can't say this. She would just say, well, why don't you look and see what's out there and figure out how you want to do it? You know what I mean?
I do. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that
Is
answered
that-
your question, but
Did that answer your question, Al?
You're giving me credit for actually remembering what I asked. It was off the top of my head and I don't even remember what it was now. But the advice was awesome.
Oh, okay. Well, perfect.
Yeah.
I can see you kind of almost coaching your daughter in the same type of way. And it can be, it's so different when it's your children and trying to like have them hear a lesson, because it's so hard to not learn a lesson without going through it yourself. But I think that you're pretty creative, and I know that I can be pretty creative with how I convey a story sometimes. And I do hope that it sinks in and that they learn from it and maybe can, you know, hop past some of their little things that they need to learn from just hearing little things here and there.
Yeah.
Well, you just prompted a question that I have, and it kind of goes back to both of you. I hear a lot of, without names, I hear stories about what it's like during your day and the different experiences that you've had, Jess, with just people and helping them. So I'm going to ask both of you, what if you could think of one of the top 5 really cool experiences. Now, Tamara, you got to take our photo shoot out. That doesn't count. So, because I know it was just the bomb.
It was amazing.
Right. So take that out. We won't be biased about any of that. But is there an experience that both of you have had in working with somebody else that just you look back at it and you go, wow, that was really cool. Maybe there was an aha moment in it.
So when I was fashion editor at Ibella, we decided to do this photo essay about Florida's wildlife and, you know, natural Florida. And I brought together these teens that could paint, they could body paint, and they collaborated with us on this project. And the graphic designer, Carrie Fischel, also body painted, but there were 4 of us and we all worked together and we body painted. We made a girl into a panther. We made a girl into a ghost orchid. Well, there were 3 of them for that one, but we just worked together and brought together this beautiful and informative photo essay that was really special to Naples, you know, our home. And it got me more into wanting to do more environmental work and work with foundations, because it was just really neat to put an artistic twist on something that would normally just be a photograph or you know, a talking point. It was just kind of neat to leave my own little touch on something that meant a lot to people here in Southwest Florida. So that was really cool.
That was unbelievable. That was one of the shoots that I just was like, this is amazing. It was amazing work. You guys just
Thank you.
rocked it. Yeah, that was so cool.
I would actually, there was a different one that actually means more to me as military. I traveled across the country and did a photo shoot called Jane's United. And I dressed up female veterans in a glam way, because veterans are looked at one of two ways. You know, you're either kind of masculine, or you know, they look at me and they say, well, you used to be a military police officer. Like, get out of here. You're lying, stolen valor, you know? So we went around and dressed these women up in these vintage looks. And it was just absolutely fabulous. And for them to see themselves and have this experience of a professional photo shoot. And, you know, we put it in Abella as well. Some of them were highlighted at their service and collaborating with different military museums or military sites, and letting them be part of that project was probably one of the best projects I've ever done, honestly, because I got to reach an entire nation and lift up my fellow veterans. So that was really cool.
That is so cool. I'll have to look back. I never did see that. So I'm going to be
It
doing
was
some research.
years ago. So
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
Can you give me a little bit more on, there's some emotion inside of all of that. So for those that are listening, they can't see, right? So the people that can see, I think can watch you. And there was a lot of reminiscing that was just going on when you were describing that. Can you take us back a little bit to really what that felt like as you were working with all those different women, and give us a little bit more about the emotion of that?
So you're your worst critic, you know what I mean? You look in the mirror and you're like, oh my gosh, I look like, you know, the crypt keeper today. And but when
Jess will
you're
tell you,
working,
by the way, I don't look in the mirror, so I don't.
but for these women, you know, it's such a hard line for us, just because you don't want to be too overly feminine, or at least back in my military days, you didn't want to be overly feminine because then you weren't taken seriously, or, you know, you were too masculine and then you weren't seen as feminine. It was just this double-edged sword and a fine line. So working with them and just letting them smile and bring that personality out and showing them the finished pictures. You know, I love it when they say, I didn't know I could look like that. I didn't know, you know, some of them were teary because they'd never even had a professional photo shoot done like that. It was very magazine editorial, and they were so appreciative to see themselves as I saw them and as others see them. You know, you're never going to believe it until you see it. My husband tells me every morning, Tamara, you're beautiful. And I'm like, I don't feel like it today, you know, but when it's a woman telling you, and Jess, you can piggyback on this, when a woman looks at you and says, you know, you look amazing, there's something else with a woman telling you, you look amazing, you know.
There
so
is, yeah.
when you have this group of 100+ women all falling over themselves, like just screaming and hollering and, you know, clapping and celebrating while these photo shoots are taking place, it's not just a sisterhood. I mean, it was wonderful to let them see themselves, you know.
What's
Yeah,
that bringing back for you? I apologize. What's that bringing back for you right now, Tamara?
You just miss the people, you know. That's all. You miss that camaraderie really bad.
Well, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It does feel so good when people feel it so much that you feel it as well.
Yeah.
It's such an amazing, and I consider myself so lucky that I I get to feel that quite often.
Mhm.
There's just some people that don't, I've had a lot of people in my chair, and a lot of the same people, because I've been in the same spot for 30 years.
Mhm.
So I have a lot of the same clients, but it always seems to be very fitting on a day that someone has to leave quick, and I get some walk in who's never been on the island before, and all of a sudden it's like I feel like it's a gift to me as well as them, that they're just blown away by the experience, and they feel so beautiful, and it just feels like such a gift to give that to them. It is unbelievable. I have one client that's just super special to me, and very corporate world. And she did just amazingly well. And she recently retired to the area. And I would guess maybe about 14, maybe 10 or 14 years ago, something like that. I did extensions in her hair, very fine hair. And I gave her just bangs and extensions. And I'll never forget, at the very end of that, she just looked in the mirror and cried.
Mhm.
It's the first time I've ever felt beautiful and feminine my whole life.
Yeah.
And I get goosebumps just recalling it, because she's so beautiful that it's shocking to me that someone cannot see their inner beauty,
Yep.
just like it's hard for us to see ours. And
Mhm.
what a gift that she shared with me. And, we have such a beautiful relationship now because of just the shared emotions throughout all of that. And
Mhm.
there are such little moments can be so life changing. So yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Mhm. Do you get that, Al?
Do you get it?
I don't
You know what?
necessarily create the same type of connections. My business is a little bit less interactive, but the one now, previously it was much different.
So I have to say, though, you getting the pictures with the airplane and the suit, and like, you got to see yourself in a different way, kind of like the way I see you, or the way she saw you during the shoot. And that definitely brought something.
Well, let's face it,
out.
I didn't own one of those suits for 10 years. That was the first suit in such a long time. So I left that particular world a long time ago. But
yeah.
So yeah, I appreciate the vulnerability that you're both sharing. And what is popping in my head is part of the reason we're even doing this whole series is to, as the conversation that I had with somebody, people see what they see today. They don't know what your challenges were, what you overcame. They don't know where the connections are. And so while it may look great from where we see you today, you've got the modeling agency, you've got the photography business, you've got the magazine going, and there's all successes there. Hearing this part, it helps to understand why you're at where you're at.
Mm.
That makes sense?
It does.
And I think everybody's going to be able to hear and pick up on where there was a really deep connection. I suspect there has to be 2 or 3 or maybe even a few more of those ladies that you connected with that flashed into your head.
Oh yeah. I was actually stationed with 3 of them. And the rest of them I just met through this platform that was created for female veterans. And, I said to them, hey, do you want to do this? And the outcome was amazing. And I met so many genuinely amazing women. One came down from, before she moved to Colorado, had never worked with her before in my life until that shoot. And her name's Renee. And she came down and spent her birthday with me, and had me take new photos of her. But we just made this friendship out of, a project. And
But I just had a squirrel moment. I'm sorry. You said new or nude?
New,
New.
new,
Like, wait a minute,
new.
wait, did I hear
No,
that
no, no,
right?
No, some of those girls were still
I
active.
want to
I'd be
make
in,
sure the guys that are listening
no,
understood that was
don't start
NEW.
Googling Jane's United and look for nude photos. So no, you make
New
these new
revenue stream.
friendships. Yeah. You make these new friendships and, you stay in contact and you're seeing these new milestones and, some of these women, you really gave them something special. And, that's something that you can't buy. You can't, there's just no other feeling like that. And to know that you did it for someone that served alongside you is just irreplaceable.
So Jess made a comment, and I want to ask you this because of what you just said. Her comment was, when that woman walked in, it was as much a gift to her as it was to her customer. You had just said about this, how special it was to be able to give that gift to these ladies, and at the same time, you got a gift in return also. How would you describe that for yourself?
For me, it was something that I love doing made someone so happy. That was tremendous. I am one of those people that I constantly evaluate, am I doing the right thing? Is this the right thing? Should I improve here? I'm always moving in my own mind. And I was terrified when I started that business or that project because I didn't want to let anybody down, especially my sisters, and when they were so blown away and happy, that it wasn't validation for me. It was just, okay, well, this, like I told you earlier, this is my spark. This is it. I'm making people happy by doing what I love. I mean, I am so blessed to be able to say that, that just, it doesn't happen every day. And I get to do it every day.
So now I want to trigger off of something you just said too, and I think it applies to both of you as well. I mean, it applies to everybody. You had a lot of fears, what you said about, and the fear was over not letting them down. How would you describe the process of overcoming that fear? And that goes to you too, Jess, in sharing with everybody. That fear could have stopped you. You could have not done that because not wanting to let him down and thinking, oh, well, this isn't going to go over well, and just walk away from the project versus charging through it. Now, I'm sure military had your experience there had a lot, maybe something to do with it as well. But what would you say about that?
So the military did play a big part in it. It's, if you dedicate to it, you do it. That's it. There's no plan B. And I honestly, how I really got through it is I just had a blast with it. I didn't try to, as it was structured, but I, didn't try to do it on my own. I formed a board and these women helped me and we made it fun. We let the girls tell us how they wanted it to be done and what their vision was. I always do that, Jess. What's your vision? What's your vision? Because if I'm just giving you my vision, I mean, I'm such a kooky bird that, I mean, you may not, get what you want, but,
Right.
Putting my own twist on it. So these, I went and had a blast and I'm always educating myself constantly. I would look up different things about each girl, where they served, what colors they like. I invested in it. And it was just, it's kind of like taking a test. You're not going to fear failing a test if you study. So I just slowed down and I had fun with it. And I made sure I knew what I wanted to do and enrolled their vision. So.
Yeah. I mean, I feel the same way with what I do. I don't really get fearful about, like going into work, doing hair every day. Like it's pretty much second nature to me at this point. But I mean, every once in a while, stepping in, like even doing the same clients for so many years and then having a new person that I've never done before, I definitely I'm a people pleaser. I want people to be happy, just like you're saying, Tamara. So it's really important to me to ask a lot of questions and make sure that we're on the same page. So one of the things that I tell the new stylists that I work with, or some of the conversations we just have with each other, are like, sometimes something that a client doesn't want is just as important as what they do want, because it can just take you down a path of seeing their vision of what they want. So asking a lot, God bless you, asking lots of questions, and just trying to have no ego involved is big too. I mean, I working with other stylists that are not like that is so pleasant, because you hear over and over the gratitude from the clients, and then you see the beauty of the stylist feeling satisfied and happy and excited that they've created something beautiful that the person loves. So it's just like a beautiful dance.
Agreed. Yeah, really is.
If there was a single piece of advice that you would leave anybody in business, what would that little nugget of wisdom be?
Get it in writing.
I love it.
Honestly, get it in writing and don't stop.
Yeah.
Do not stop.
Do you
Get it in
think that
writing
that's
and
changed you at all?
what? Getting it in writing?
The experiences, because it's jarring me a little bit, and I'm going, that's interesting advice. I because I end up doing a lot that's really not in writing. And one aspect of what I do, I don't ever want it to change who I am. And there's been certainly plenty of people a lot of similar experience. You step out in business and somebody's going to stab you in the back at some point, multiple people. Would you say that has that changed you?
No, actually it's calmed me down. Well, so I guess it did change me a little bit, but I don't allow opportunities for there to be an argument. I do not set myself up for that. One of my favorite things about this is I have respect because I'm nice. I am very transparent. I'm not going to set you up in a way that is going to allow for us to have a disagreement. I always get everything in writing. Okay, this is what I'm thinking. What are your thoughts? And we have this, but being so open and transparent about things, people don't get defensive with me. And if they see that I mean business, okay, well, great, draw me up an agreement or send me a contract and I'm going to review it. Obviously, I'm not just going to, if you try to do something a little bit wonky, then I've got it in writing. So you're going to be less apt to do it, I like creating good relationships, solid relationships. And by not providing an opportunity for discord and just being very across the board, it actually has made my life so much easier because I don't worry. I can literally, I have files upon files, hard drives upon hard drives, so I can go back and find exactly what we talked about. But it helps me because I can also help them, well, this is what we agreed upon. You forgot about this. This is also coming, you forgot you actually got this little addition. So I'm being thorough, but it's very fair. It's, there's no, one of the worst things I find that I do before I started doing this a lot was I would worry constantly. Well, what happens if this happens? What if? My life is full of what if? And now it's just, this is how it is. This is this is how, there is no what if.
You roll with it very well. I mean, our the one photo shoot for the salon, we were going to do the long something totally different. And you recognized after taking the pictures, like, whoa, these are like, these are too good to do that with. And I was on the same page with you, and you were able to, like, even though you're laser focused, you're able to have such an open mind, which makes it so fun to work with you. So that's pretty cool. Do you have an end goal with your business?
Actually, I want to leave my daughter an empire. That is my end goal. That is it. My daughter is very much like me. She's creative, but she also squirrels a lot. So today it's ballerina, tomorrow it's fashion designer. So I was like, well, why can't I give you something that houses all three? You can design costumes and sets and do this. And, this summer she's going to intern with, she's only 13. Well, 12, almost 12, going on 30 and 13, but she's going to intern with me, and she's going to see all of the back end, because right now she thinks it's all gloss and glory, but she doesn't realize how hard it is. So that is really the end game. I want her to be an entrepreneur, someone that lifts people, someone that is kind and has the ability to really wrap their arms around an entire culture. By doing what she loves. And if I can give her this, because that's where I started it from, then I'll go to the ground happy. So
that's awesome. Very cool.
I think that's a perfect way to finalize this episode with such awesome inspiration, at least for me.
I'm sorry, I know I get long-winded, but
no, not at all.
Not at all.
Coming from where I come from, I'd like to leave a legacy for my children's children. And so how do you do that? And yep, you grow an empire. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's so cool. Thank you so much, Tamara.
I appreciate you guys having me on here. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. I adore the both of you, and your companies are sensational. Jess, you are an unmatched talent. I love working with you when I get the chance. So
thank you so much. I appreciate that. I feel the same way.
Well, if I ever get an opportunity to have a photo shoot of paychecks or money going exchanging hands, you're who I call.
Perfect.
Yeah, we got to figure out how to make payroll sexy.
Yeah, well, storyboard it out. When in doubt, storyboard.
There we go.
That's right.
Another little nugget. There we go.
There you go.
When in doubt, storyboard it out. Okay.
I love it.
Awesome. Tamara, thanks so much.
Thanks, guys. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks. You too. Bye.
Bye.